is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea. Dear listeners, we teach English language service of Voice of Korea from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Now here's Mixed Chorus, Song of General Kim Il-sung. Now here's Main Chorus, Song of General Kim Jong-il. DPRK Voice of Korea News Now.
The first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army was held in Pyongyang, the capital of the revolution, between July the 24th and the 27th, under the guidance of the respected Kim Jong-un, General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and President of the State Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Central Committee and the Central Military Commission of the Workers' Party of Korea organized a grand assembly of military and political cadres of the whole army in order to further enhance the military and political might and the revolutionary fighting spirit of the Korean People's Army, the backbone of the National Defense Force and revolutionary armed forces of the party, and explain again and convince the military and political cadres of the important idea of the Party Central Committee on military strategy and tactics and orientation and policies of army building suited the demand of the changing situation. The recent workshop, the first of its kind in the history of army building, was mainly aimed at making all levels of units, combined units, and large combined units of the Korean People's Army politically and ideologically strong iron-willed army, supporting the leadership of the Workers' Party of Korea with loyalty and invincible militant ranks, and awakening and encouraging the military and political cadres to perform their responsibility and role as the hardcore in carrying out the honorable task and rearming them in an all-round way. Present at the workshop were military commanders and political commissars of all services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments of the Korean People's Army. Also on hand were members of the Executive Committee of the Korean People's Army Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea and officials of the General Political Bureau and the General Staff of the Korean People's Army and the Ministry of National Defense of the DPRK. Kim Jong-un made an opening address of the workshop and guided the first day's sitting. The first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army started on July the 24th, which will mark another clear milestone in strengthening and developing the Sochi-based revolutionary armed forces. Kim Jong-un arrived at the April 25th House of Culture, the venue of the workshop, in order to guide the workshop of military and political cadres, who was greeted by commanding personnel of the Korean People's Army. The ceremony of courteously receiving the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of the DPRK was held at the April 25th House of Culture. The national anthem of the DPRK was solemnly played, and the commander of the Guard of Honor of the Korean People's Army made a salute to Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un reviewed the Guard of Honor of the Korean People's Army and met commanding personnel of the Army, inspecting the commanders of the services and Army Corps level units and the glorious colors of the large combined units. When he appeared on the rostrum of the venue of the workshop, together with Park Jong-chun, Chief of the General Staff of the Korean People's Army, Kwon Yong-jin, Director of the General Political Bureau of the Korean People's Army, Lee Yong-gil, Minister of National Defense, and commanders of the large combined units of the Korean People's Army, all the participants raised the stormy cheers of hurrah, shaking the House of Culture. Kim Jong-un made an opening address. He said the first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army was held just before the significant Victory Day, at a time when the entire people across the country are waging an indefatigable struggle for a new victory of the revolution. He made clear the purpose of having organized a large workshop of the military and political cadres of the units, large units and large combined units of the whole army as the first assemblage of the People's Army after the 8th Party Congress. The Party Central Committee attaches special importance to the significance of strengthening all services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments of the People's Army in tiding over the severe difficulties in the way of the Korean Revolution and achieving a first victory, he said, and continued. I have never forgotten even a moment the military and political cadres of units at all levels who are devoting themselves on the forefront of strengthening the military muscle and exercise of a gigantic struggle for prosperity of the country and happiness of the people. Availing myself of this opportunity, I extend warm militant greetings to the service personnel of the whole Army. When the divisions, brigades, and regiments of the whole Army are prepared as one, we are not afraid of any threat, and there is no problem in the victorious advance of our revolution. The commanders of the services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments, and other military commanding officers and political commissars of the People's Army should make more strenuous efforts than ever before to stress and made a detailed analysis of the operation commanding ability, the level of management of units, and political and practical qualifications of the military and political cadres. Kim Jong-un said the military and political cadres of the People's Army should clearly know the intention of the Central Committee and the Central Military Commission of the Workers' Party of Korea, which organized a recent workshop on a larger scale. Examine and sum up the whole work of the unit seriously and find out ways to overcome the shortcomings and deviations while sourcing excellent experiences. He stressed that through the recent workshop, the Army commanders and political commissars at all levels should have a deep understanding of the importance of strengthening the services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments, and the direction and policies of the party on the army building policy, find out its right idea and methodology for them, and make positive efforts to learn more, regarding it as a very precious occasion to improve and train themselves in a revolutionary way. He declared the first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army open, expressing the belief that the workshop would become an important starting point of revolutionizing the cadres that prepare the military and political cadres of the whole army as genuine commanding personnel of the revolutionary armed forces of the party, and as an occasion of epochal leap in consolidating the operational and combat capacity and political and military might of the unit in every way. The workshop heard a report. The report was made by Vice Marshal of the Korean People's Army, Kwon Young-jin, member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, member of the Central Military Commission of the party, and director of the General Political Bureau of the Korean People's Army. The reporter said Kim Jong-un organized a large-scale workshop of the commanders and political commissars of the services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments of the whole army on the occasion of the Victory Day at the crucial and vital time of the Korean Revolution. It reflects his noble intention to glorify the immortal exploits performed by the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il in leading the army generation after generation, and prepare the commanding personnel, the hardcore of the People's Army, as genuine military and political cadres of the party army, with a high political consciousness, revolutionary style of work, and noble moral traits, he added. Speeches were made at the workshop. Kim Jong-un made an important concluding speech at the second-day sitting of the workshop. At the second-day sitting, speeches continued in the wake of the first-day sitting. The second-day sitting was held amid the ideological readiness and mounted the enthusiasm of the military and political cadres to have their work summed up in a comprehensive way, arm themselves more thoroughly with the military lines and policies of the party, and discharge their heavy obligations granted to them. The commanders and political commissars of units and combined units who took the floor mentioned the achievements and experiences obtained in the war to prepare their units as the first death-defying force of defending the party Central Committee, which carried forward the noble soul of the heroic soldiers during the war, train 1 measure per 100 soldiers with iron fists, and make full preparations for the decisive battle, and in the improvement of the military life and the grand construction campaign. The speeches seriously analyzed and criticized the shortcomings occurring in the military and political work, including the combat and political training, command and management of units, and education of service personnel. The workshop highly estimated the exemplary units, which are playing the leading role in strengthening the combat efficiency, establishing the military discipline, and improving the military life through the military policy of the party. Kim Jong-un made a crucial concluding speech to put forward important revolutionary texts of the struggle for the People's Army at present in implementing the army-building lines and policies of the party, and mentioned the issues raised at the workshop. In the concluding speech, he first reported the purport of having organized a larger workshop of the leading commanding personnel of the whole army, the first of its kind in the history of army building. He said the first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army was organized to decisively enhance the role of the commanders and political officers of the units at all levels in correctly and thoroughly implementing the lines and tasks of making the Revolutionary Armed Forces elite and powerful army, which were presented by the historic 8th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea. He said, the commanders and political commissars of the units and combined units are the core military and political cadres constituting the backbone of our Revolutionary Armed Forces. They are field commanders and political officers who are leading the units to fight according to the operational plans of the Supreme Command. It is a consistent strategic policy of our party in modernizing the army to prepare the commanders and political officers well and rearm them steadily. Kim Jong-un referred to the organization of the written workshop just before the Victory Day and said, now we are faced with manifold challenges and trials unprecedented in history, and we have to overcome them with our strong will and resolute determination. It is first of all necessary to treasure it and translate it into the present reality. It is a great tradition of victory. The succession of revolution is not mere handing down to one's posterity, but the succession of the fighting spirit and that of the vigorous and indomitable spirit. It is the great building spirit of the victorious wartime generation that we should carry forward more powerfully and vigorously without getting dim or discolored, no matter how many years may go by. In the concluding speech, Kim Jong-un put forward the general task to strengthen the units, combined units, and large combined units. He formulated that the general task facing all levels of units of the People's Army is to make them invincible militant ranks, infinitely loyal to the cause of the Workers' Party of Korea, and said, it means making the units political and ideological work with absolute loyalty and obedience to the ideas and leadership of the Workers' Party of Korea, and carrying on all the operations and battles, the management of units, and the military life of the commanding officers and soldiers according to the policy of the Workers' Party of Korea and in its way, and as intended by the party. As the People's Army is the armed forces of the party, all the political and military activities should represent the will and strength of the party, and its voice and meet its demands. Kim Jong-un presented the principal issues and tasks which should be maintained in the work to properly establish the monolithic leadership system in the People's Army. He importantly said the units at all levels should make all the occasions and processes of the party political work and the military affairs definitely run through the course of defending the ideology and authority of the party and strengthening the security of the state, and thoroughly establish the revolutionary military discipline of accepting the orders and instructions of the party central committee immediately and implementing them resolutely. He also said, the commanders and political officers should concentrate all efforts on perfecting preparations to cope actively and effectively with any military provocations of the enemy. This is the supreme order given by the party and our revolution to the People's Army. It is a present task nobody can take others' place, and the commanding personnel should be responsible for at the cost of their lives. The Fourth Joint Forces strengthen all sorts of frantic and tenacious aggressive war exercises, keep expanding the ability to make a preemptive attack on our state systematically, and build up armament. The present situation further excludes the decision and fighting spirit of the army to fundamentally terminate the vicious cycle of the escalation of tension. All the military and political cadres should not forget even a moment that the first standard of estimating their loyalty to the party and revolution and their workability and results lies in perfecting the preparations to practically carry out the combat tasks for wartime operations, but put the greatest force to strengthening the combat efficiency of their units. In the concluding speech, Kim Jong-un presented the task to the units at all levels to launch a fierce drive for training according to the 5-point policy on bringing about a radical change in training and specific ways to provide the service personnel of the People's Army with better conditions for military service and life. Touching on the necessity to further intensify the ideological explosion in the army, Kim Jong-un said, "It is important for the service personnel involved in socialist construction to take the pride of being the traders for happiness of the people, frontline soldiers defending the people's confidence in the party, and soon building the citadel of the single-minded unity." He stressed that good education should be given among the service personnel to fully display the traditional traits so that they can always respect and love the people, like their parents and brothers and sisters, and defend the lives and property of the people at the risk of their lives. In the concluding speech, Kim Jong-un especially stressed the need to raise the qualifications, ability, responsibility, and role of the military and political cadres. He said the military commanders and political commissars our party wants are the commanding personnel strictly modeled on the Workers' Party of Korea, and they are the military and political cadres who inherited the tradition of intense loyalty to the Workers' Party of Korea and possess the able working manner and possess the militancy proper to the party. He also said the loyalty to the Party Central Committee is the life and soul and fundamental criteria of the commanding personnel of Korean People's Army, the revolutionary army of the party, and continued. The commanders and political commissars of the units, combined units, and large combined units should become the genuine men of faith and obligation, sharing the idea, will, and destiny with their party forever, in whatever adversity requires, and staunchly fighting for the Workers' Party of Korea and the revolution to the last moment of their lives, and men strong in idea and brave commanders striking terror into the heart of the enemy. The military and political cadres should deeply study and thoroughly carry out the military and political tasks presented at the 8th Party Congress, plenary meetings of the Party Central Committee, and enlarged meetings of the Central Military Commission of the party, and partly roused the service personnel in the band. Seeing the party spirit and political consciousness are the basic criteria defining the quality of the commanding personnel of the People's Army, Kim Jong-un stressed in detail the need to correctly analyze, estimate, and deal with all affairs arising in military activities and party political work from the viewpoint of party policy, make purposeful efforts to know well the idea and policies of the party, and keep voice and step with the party, and voluntarily and sincerely participate in the party ideological and organizational life. He also said the military and political cadres should possess high practical qualifications and persistent militancy. He noted that all the commanding personnel should make painstaking efforts to surpass the present level and overcome the limitations of ability and register remarkable successes with high goal, courageous stamina, strong endeavor, fearless passion, and fighting spirit to be the military and political cadres of practitioner type and commanding personnel of a strong grip. The military and political cadres should design and plan all the work in a big way with great confidence and disposition, to make their units assigned by the party those widely known to the whole army, and match for 100 militant ranks, and display their ultimate self-sacrificing spirit and spirit of devoted service in order to materialize it. The military and political cadres should be firmly united ideologically and purposefully and in humanity to combine the military affairs with the political work well. They should make a steady effort to always have the proficient style of work and noble moral traits befitting the commanding personnel of the Revolutionary Army. Saying the position and duty of the General Political Bureau, the General Staff, and the Ministry of National Defense are very important in strengthening the whole army. Kim Jong-un presents ways to firmly orient and subordinate the party political work and military affairs to further implementing the militant tasks advanced by the party Central Committee to the People's Army. He underscored the need for all the units to more dynamically conduct different kinds of mass movements, such as the movement of winning the title of Ultimate Led the Seventh Regiment and the Free Revolution Red Flag movement, so as to bring about a radical improvement in the political and ideological readiness and the spiritual and moral traits of the commanding personnel and soldiers, and consolidate their combat efficiency in every way. He said the glorious tradition of victory of our revolutionary armed forces can be brilliantly carried forward and developed only by the resolute struggle and devotion of the commanding personnel of the new generations infinitely faithful to the leadership of the party. He expressed the belief that all the military and political cadres would redouble their efforts to thoroughly establish the monolithic leadership system of the party Central Committee in the whole army, and make a decisive progress in completing the preparations to cope with war and improving the living of the service personnel. Finishing his concluding speech, Kim Jong-un ardently called upon all to wage a vigorous struggle for the well-being and internal prosperity of our glorious motherland, for our great people, for the strengthening and development of the People's Army, and for a new victory in our revolution, and form unity with one mind and purpose around the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, our guiding party. An intense pickup course was given for the participants in the workshop. The third-day sitting of the workshop gave a short course to convince them of the ways to thoroughly carry out the militant tasks set forth by the party and improve the military and political work of the units by following the ennobling fighting spirit and traits shown by the commanding officers of the Guards units during the war. The short course dealt with the issues on firmly consolidating the units as the crystallization of resolutely defending the party Central Committee by learning after the transparent spirit of resolute defense of the leader displayed by the victorious wartime generation, and making full preparations to cope with any form of war with the indomitable spirit of defending the country and the heroic fighting spirit displayed by the brave soldiers of the People's Army during the Fatherland Liberation War, and on making the revolution the way of struggle and life created by the victorious wartime generation pervade all the units. It reports the practical issues on applying the indomitable revolutionary spirit and unyielding fighting spirit created during the hard-fought Fatherland Liberation War to the present military and political work, and introduce the experiences of the excellent units. Kim Jong-un made a closing address. The first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army came to a close in the fourth-day sitting on July the 27th amid high enthusiasm of the military and political cadres, who are determined to make all the units of the entire army invincible militant ranks with absolute loyalty and obedience to the leadership of the Workers' Party of Korea. Kim Jong-un made a closing address at the workshop. He said a recent workshop in which all the military and political cadres had a clear understanding of the idea and intention of the Party Central Committee and their position and duty, and found out clear-cut practical ways to bring about a radical turn in strengthening the militancy of their units, has become a significant assemblage, the set of a new milestone in the modernization of our army. First, the military and political cadres should make redoubled and great efforts to lead their units in conformity with the requirements of the party and the revolution. They should always bear in mind that the officers and men of their units place their great hopes on the commanders and political officers who have come back after participating in the workshop, the first of its kind in the history of army building, and exert themselves to complete the combat preparations of their units. Kim Jong-un stressed time and again that the commanders and political commissars of the units should have a high goal and strong desire for work to make their units powerful bulwarks of defending the revolution and the country, and thoroughly carry out the tasks of the struggle presented at the workshop to further strengthen their services, corps, divisions, brigades, and regiments politically and militarily. He touched on putting efforts into hardening the party spirit and self-improvement to bring about a radical improvement in their idea and spirit, working spirit and work attitude, practical ability and moral traits, and completely break from the non-revolutionary and non-militant ideological viewpoint and style. He said there are no difficulties not to be overcome and factories not to be occupied when the commanders and political officers live and struggle with the indomitable revolutionary fighting spirit and will of the Workers' Party of Korea, however rigorous these trials may be. He expressed the full will of the Workers' Party of Korea to constantly carry forward the glorious tradition of victory, believing in the People's Army, the invincible revolutionary army of the party, and believing in the military and political cadres of the whole army. Kim Jong-un declared the first workshop of the commanders and political officers of the Korean People's Army closed, expressing the belief that all the military and political cadres would deeply bear in mind the important idea of the party on army building and the tasks and ways stressed at the recent workshop, and devote themselves to implementing them, and thus bring about an epochal progress in strengthening the combat efficiency of their units.
World progressives paid boundless respect to the great leader Kim Il-sung on the occasion of the 27th anniversary of his demise. The respected Kim Jong-un received messages and letters from party leaders and high-ranking political and public figures of many countries, including Russia, Nepal, Syria, Cambodia, Germany, Romania, and Switzerland. Floral baskets were laid before the bronze statues of the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Manso Hill in the name of the co-chairman, honorary vice-chairman, directors, and honorary directors of the board of directors of the Kim Il-sung Kim Jong-il Foundation, the president of the International World Group of Italy, the chairman of the Columbia-Korea Friendship Association, the Beijing Chaoya International Cultural Exchange Center in China, the Switzerland-Korea Committee, and other foreign personages and organizations and families of overseas Koreans concerned, and in the name of the missions of international organizations in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Vietnamese and Lao ambassadors, extraordinary and plenipotentiary to the DPRK, and their embassy staff members visited the bronze statues of the great leaders and paid homage to them. The General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Nepal Communist Party, Marxist-Leninist, the Special Political Advisor to the Senegalese President, and other personages of different countries and regional organizations visited the DPRK missions in their countries, laid floral baskets and bouquets before the portraits of smiling Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il and their joint pictures, and paid tribute to them. Seminars on the exploits, lectures, film shows, photo exhibitions, and other political and cultural events took place in different countries of the world, including China, Russia, Indonesia, and India. Foreign mass media gave wide publicity to the sacred revolutionary history of Kim Il-sung before and after July 8th. The participants in the 7th National Conference of War Veterans enjoyed themselves at the Yanga Hot Spring Resort before and after the conference. During their holiday, the war veterans received special hospitality as VIPs. Walking along the winding access corridor, they commanded a bird's-eye view of the beautiful natural scenery and had a bush and medicinal hot spring bath in the outdoor spa baths built in the green pine woods of Anjong Peak and in the indoor spa bath with tens of individual bath tubers. They received the kind services in all parts of the resort, such as the general service center filled with different kinds of sporting goods and means of cultural recreation. Together with the artists of national art organizations who gave a colorful performance, they sang wartime songs and danced to the tune of merry folk songs and had pictures taken. During the holiday, those war veterans from Pyongyang, Sinŭiju, Ganggae, Samhung, and Nampo cities and Uncheon and Phungso counties celebrated their birthdays amid the congratulations of the service workers. Successes are registered in the field of chemical industry. The Hungnam Fertilizer Complex has successfully carried out a high fertilizer production plan for the manuring year through proper technical management and management of equipment. The Namhung Youth Chemical Complex is launching a powerful drive for increased production while repairing equipment qualitatively and actively introducing new technologies, increasing the fertilizer production. Tens of youth shock brigades of coal mines in South Gyeongsang province have fulfilled their 2-year or annual assignments under the national economic plans ahead of schedule. Members of the Gangho-Yeong Youth Shock Brigade and the Kim-hyuk Youth Shock Brigade at the Cheongsong Youth Coal Mine under the Suncheon Area Youth Coal Mining Complex increased the number of blasting for shift and conduct the movement for helping the next shift, thereby bringing about the daily good tunneling results more than twice as against before. As a result, they have finished their 2-year assignments under the national economic plans before others. Lots of youth shock brigades of the Pukchang Area Youth Coal Mining Complex, the Pukchang Area Coal Mining Complex, and the Tokchon Area Coal Mining Complex have also finished their yearly tunneling plans ahead of schedule. They have ensured sequence drilling and blasting and carried much in time, registering high tunneling records every day. DPRK Foreign Minister Lee Sun-won sent a message of greetings to Bui Taeng-sun on July the 30th upon his reappointment as Foreign Minister of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The message expressed the belief that the cooperation between the foreign ministries of the two countries would grow closer in expanding and developing the friendly and cooperative relations between the DPRK and Vietnam in accordance with the spirit of the agreement reached at the historic Hanoi Summit in March 2019. It wished the Vietnamese foreign minister greater success in his work for developing external relations of the country. And that's the end of the news, read by Kim Hyun-ok and Choi Jong-nam. This is VOK, Voice of Korea.
Here is a female sex chat. Our leader, beloved of the people.
Oh,
tenor solo in 방창, always near him. We now present the song, Our Mother. Where can be found such mother with a lot of cares as ours in the world? Our mother walks before others at the crack of dawn, and she takes the path of untrodden snow in the van. she has kept us from snow, rain, and wind. Oh, we cannot forget her hardships. Mother, mother, our mother, you are our only mother.
listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Europe between 15 and 16 hours UTC, between 18 and 19 hours UTC, between 21 and 22 hours UTC, and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 13,760 kHz and 15,245 kHz. For North America, between 15 and 16 hours UTC and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 9,435 kHz and 11,710 kHz. And for Northeast Asia, between 4 and 5 hours UTC and between 6 and 7 hours UTC on 7,220 kHz, 9,435 kHz, and 9,730 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.